Huh? Why aren't you eating, Madison? My sister-in-law Judy would say that when she saw that I had not touched my food at all. I looked down and said, "Because I'm just a wife." Huh? What do you mean? Judy asked me for more details, and I told her the facts about the situation that's been going on. As a wife and a daughter-in-law, I am not allowed to eat until everyone in this house has finished eating. Hearing this, Judy got up from her seat and stood in front of my mother-in-law, Layla. "Mom, just get out of this house." My name is Madison. I am a 30-year-old housewife. I have been married to my husband, Carl, for 3 years. I am currently busy raising our 2-year-old child and working part-time. But my husband and I get along very well, and we enjoy watching our cute child grow up together. My husband works hard every day and earns enough for the family. I think my relationship with my husband is good because I can respect him in that way. We are living happily like that, but I have one problem. And that problem is my mother-in-law, Layla. Our house is very close to our parents-in-law's house, and it only takes about 10 minutes to get there by walk. Therefore, my mother-in-law calls me over for her own convenient reasons. She asks me to do things for her, such as finding the remote control for the TV, washing the dishes because they are piling up, or doing something for her because she doesn't know how to use her smartphone. She treats me like a handyman or her personal housekeeper. I can forgive her for doing this if this happens once in a while. However, Layla calls me almost every day, sometimes twice in one day. To be honest, it's a huge hassle. Besides, Layla is not in need of nursing care, nor is she physically disabled. She is perfectly healthy. That's why I would like her to take care of all these things by herself. However, Layla does not care about such things and calls me over to her house and uses me while bullying me around. By the way, unlike Layla, my father-in-law Nathan is very kind. However, Layla always calls me over when Nathan was not around. And before Nathan would come back home, she would force me out of her house. Since she was so persistent and it was hard to deal with her every time, I discussed my husband about it. My husband immediately warned Layla about it, but she then vehemently objected, saying, "I didn't do anything that mean." And she was furious and protested against what my husband was saying to her. She refused to admit that she had been abusive or bullying me. My husband was troubled by this, and all he could do was to say, "Just don't hurt my precious wife." However, Layla continued to call me up and do the same thing over and over. I wanted to discuss about it to my husband again, but he had recently been promoted, and his work has become much busier. He has been working overtime more and more, and he's exhausted every day, so I honestly cannot put this burden on my husband. Therefore, I stayed quiet and endured Layla's treatment towards me. Over time, Layla's bullying gradually became more and more severe. It used to be just a little thing, but nowadays I was physically exhausted because of her demanding requests. I had to do all the housework at my parents-in-law's house, and even for Layla's friend's birthday celebration, I had to go to the city to buy some meals for the party. I am exhausted every day, and I am always Layla's slave on the days I don't have a part-time job. And seeing this, Layla seemed to enjoy controlling me, always grinning and happily ordering me around. And she would often ask me to make her lunch, and when I made one for myself as well, she suddenly became angry. "Why are you eating at the same time as me?" "Excuse me? Don't you know how to respect your elders? I'm the boss of this house. You are just a daughter-in-law and just a wife. You are not allowed to eat without my permission." No way. In the end, I had no choice but to accept her unreasonable instruction. What I made at that time was pasta, but Layla ate it slowly on purpose. And when I finally got to eat, the pasta had stretched so much, and plus, it was cold. I was nothing but a slave, being treated like a slave and not being able to eat my meals without Layla's permission. I didn't need to be treated to the point where I'm suffering if I'm just taking care of Layla. I thought so and made up my mind that I would never go to her house, no matter what she said to me. But then, Nathan became sick, and he needed nursing care. I owe Nathan a lot. When I married my husband, Nathan warned Layla when she was being mean to me, and And when she spoke ill of me at a family gathering, Nathan corrected her and saved me from being misunderstood by my relatives. After that, when my husband and I visited my in-laws, he spoke to me kindly and treated me really well. That is why I wanted to help Nathan when he was in need. If he needed care, I was willing to take the lead in caring for him. But then, I would have to face Layla again every time I went to my parents-in-law's house. But my gratitude for Nathan is stronger. I told my husband that I would mainly take care of Nathan. My husband was very grateful and contacted Nathan right away. Just then I received a call from Layla and she ordered me saying, "My husband needs care, so you do it." It was really a bad timing and I was so angry. I wanted to do it on my own, but this makes it sound like Layla told me to go and take care of him. I was annoyed, but I replied back saying, I already told Nathan via my husband that I would take care of him. To that, Layla exclaimed, "Well, come on, hurry up then," and hung up the phone. Then I started going to my parents-in-law's house every day to take care of Nathan. Nathan thanked me every time, saying, "Thank you. I'm really sorry for the hassle." Nathan tells me many interesting stories while I took care of him. Even though I come over to my in-laws' place, I feel totally different when I come for Layla and when I come for Nathan. I feel much lighter when I come for Nathan. But here, too, Layla began to bother me. "Hey, Madison, hurry up and cook dinner." Layla tries to interrupt me while I was taking care of Nathan. Right now, I have to take care of Nathan first. I decided that I could not let Layla win here, so I put Nathan first above anything else. Layla's face turned red, and she was angry, but I tried not to care. "Since you can do it, please, do it yourself." I will never do as what Layla asks me to do. I was determined to stay firm and stick to my guts. However, Layla became angry with me and took a surprising action. One day, I went to Nathan's room to take care of him, but his wheelchair was not there. I wondered where it was. I looked frantically for it, but could not find it. Moreover, Layla was out of town at that time. It was then that I realized that Layla had intentionally hidden it. She did that just to bully me. If I did not put Layla first, she would interfere with my care and I was thoroughly disgusted by her. How selfish could she be? I ended up doing my best, without a wheelchair, to take Nathan to the bathroom, to the bath, and to take care of him. Even though Nathan was getting older and lighter, it was still quite difficult to move while supporting an adult male all on my own. I was very exhausted and tired that day. Just as I was sitting on the sofa to rest a little, Layla came home. "Hey, what are you doing?" Layla shouted at me as soon as she saw me. "This is not your house. I'm home, so you should at least serve me tea and snacks." I got my tired body up and did as I was told and served her tea and snacks. "Layla, where is Nathan's wheelchair?" When I asked, Layla grinned and said, "Oh, it's in the shed." "Why? Nathan needs it every day." "But I don't use it and it's in the way. If you want to use the wheelchair, you need my permission. I have the keys to the shed." No way. Layla put on a victorious face and ordered me to obey her. If I don't do this, I won't be able to properly care for Nathan. I had no choice but to be patient and do as Layla said. After that, even though I was taking care of Nathan, when Layla called for me, I had to go to her, which was really tough. If I was even a little bit late, Layla would yell at me in a terrible manner. Layla made me even more nervous and exhausted, both physically and mentally. Then I received a phone call from my sister-in-law, Judy. "Hello, Madison, how are you? I heard you've been taking care of my dad lately. Thank you so much." "No problem." "Huh? What's wrong?" "Huh? Oh, it's nothing." I guess I sounded really tired. My voice was not energetic at all, and Judy was worried about me. "Madison, I'm going back to my parents' house at the end of this year." Judy said that as she hung up the phone. If Judy would come back home, Layla might be a little quieter. I was a little relieved that I might be able to relax just at the end of the year. 2 weeks passed and the end of the year arrived in no time. Layla was excited because Judy was coming home for the first time in a while. Judy works for a major company and is an elite that she worked overseas for a long time. Although she is currently in the US, she often goes on overseas business trips. Because of this, she doesn't often return to her parents' home, and this was her first visit home in a long time.
Judy, it's been a long time.
Layla greeted Judy with a happy look on her face.
Come on in. Madison, hurry up and get the tea cakes ready.
Layla would say that and immediately order me around. Then Judy said gently to me, Madison, don't worry about me. Your priority is Dad. When Judy said so, Layla said,
I guess it can't be helped then,
and gave me priority to care for Nathan. Later, it was time to eat, and we all ate the dinner I had prepared. During the meal, Layla continued to say bad things about me.
This dinner is so boring, isn't it? Since Judy came home, you should have made it more grandeur.
I'm sorry. When I apologized, Judy came to my rescue again. I can't eat many of the things that are sold as pre-made food in supermarkets. I'm glad that today's dishes are all things I want to eat. When Judy said this, Layla frowned and got silent. Nathan seemed happy to see Judy for the first time in a while and said, "Let's have a drink today." I brought a beer and put it in front of Nathan. "Thank you, Madison. It's great of you to always be so quick and caring." Nathan complimented me and I was happy. Seeing this, Layla didn't like it and said,
"How annoying. That's how you try to get people to like you,"
and complained once again. Layla ruined the nice mood by saying that, and I kept getting irritated with her. By the way, my husband had to attend a party at his company and is scheduled to come over to my parents-in-law's house later this evening, so my husband is not here right now. If my husband were here, he and Judy would immediately warn her. However, since my husband is not here, Layla took this opportunity to bully me. That's when Judy seemed to notice something. "Huh? Why aren't you eating, Madison?" Judy said this when she saw that I had not touched my food at all. I looked down and said, "Because I'm just a wife." "Huh? What do you mean?" Judy asked me for more details and I told her what was going on. As a daughter-in-law and a wife, I'm not allowed to eat until everyone in this house has finished eating. What the heck? Wait a minute, Mom, what's the meaning of this? When Judy asked Layla about it, she said this as if it was a normal thing.
Of course. She's just a daughter-in-law and just a wife, so it's only natural, right? A wife eats only after her husband's family has finished eating.
Hearing this, Judy got up from her seat and stood in front of Layla. "Mom, just get out of this house."
"What?"
Layla's eyes widened when she heard Judy say that.
What's with you all of a sudden?"
"Both Madison and Dad have reached their limit with that attitude of yours, Mom." Saying that, Judy shoved the divorce papers in front of Layla.
"Huh? What do you mean? Why is there Nathan's sign on it?"
When Layla was surprised, Nathan opened his mouth. "Judy brought this for me, and I signed it just now."
Why do you want a divorce?"
"That's because you've been skipping out on taking care of me all these years and pushing everything on Madison, isn't it? You've been talking terrible things about me while I've been sleeping, and I've been recording all of it, you know."
"What?"
Apparently, Nathan had a voice recorder tucked under his pillow and recorded the bad things Layla was saying about Nathan. He then contacted Judy and reported it to her and asked her to help him divorce with Layla. So that's why Judy came here today. "Madison, I am really sorry for all the trouble I have caused you. I'm going to kick her out of this house for good now. And I'll sell this house and use the money so I can get into a nursing facility." "Nathan." When he said this, Layla's face turned pale.
No way! If you divorce me now, what am I supposed to do? I've been a full-time housewife all my life, supporting my family, and you treat me like this?
"You've been a housewife all your life, but you haven't done any housework at all. I'm not forcing you to cook, but I know that you were sneaking around and transferring the prepared foods you bought to the plate and making it look like you cooked them yourself." When Nathan cornered Layla like that, Judy also began to say this. "As long as there is evidence of you neglecting care and housework like this, Dad can claim alimony from you, Mom."
"Oh no! I can't pay alimony!"
"Then we'll have to offset it with the division of property.
If that's not possible, let's communicate through a lawyer right away.
When Nathan said this with a firm attitude, Layla finally gave up. Then, with a pale face, she signed the divorce papers. After that, their divorce was finalized. Layla was kicked out of the house and is now working part-time and living a poor life in a shabby apartment. Nathan sold their house and went into a nursing care facility. My husband and daughter and I often visit Nathan at the facility. Nathan also has made friends at the facility and seems to be enjoying his time there. When my husband found out that Layla had treated me in such a way, he apologized to me and said that he would file a claim for alimony for the emotional distress she had caused me. My husband's friend's lawyer helped me and I was able to get Layla to pay me alimony. My husband said,
I'm sorry I've been so busy that I haven't been able to handle this properly, but I wanted you to discuss to me instead of keeping it to yourself.
I reflected on this incident and decided that I would definitely talk to him about any issues that might arise in the future. Still, I am glad that I am free from Layla now. From now on, I will concentrate on my life with my husband and daughter and try to spend happy and joyful days. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to our channel. See you in our next video.
I want a divorce. I've decided to leave you and marry your younger sister, Caitlin. What? What are you mad at me for? Are you jealous because she took me from you? I'm sorry, but you've got to give up. I can't love a plain-looking girl like you anymore. But don't worry, you don't have to leave me completely. I'm going to make you my housekeeper. You'll live with us and do all the housework. I'm giving you the honor by thinking highly of your cooking skills, aren't I? He is insane. My blood was boiling when I saw my husband laughing at me and neglecting my feelings like that. But I smiled back at him and said, "That's a good idea. My name is Erin. I am a housewife and I live with my husband, Derek. How long are you going to take to style your hair? You're going to be late for work." I called out to my husband as he prepared himself in front of the bathroom mirror in the morning. Even though it's almost time for him to go to work, he's gazing at himself in the mirror. I look so cool today, as usual. It makes me speechless, but it happens every morning, so I've gotten used to it. My husband is certainly attractive, but he knows that himself, so he's a self-absorbed narcissist. He was very popular before we got married, and he cheated on me a lot. You're my true love. You're my type, you know. I have forgiven him every time he said those nice words to me. I am too kind a person to disrespect a woman who has feelings for me. I even felt sorry for him when he said this in tears. Of course, I was anxious about marrying such a man, but I did not hate him, and above all, I was insecure about my plain looks and wanted to give myself a good image by marrying an attractive husband. Now, whenever my fellow housewives compliment my husband on his appearance, it makes me proud, and I realize how lucky I am to have married him. I am good at housework, and my husband especially appreciates my cooking skills, so we have a happy marriage. Since our marriage, it seems that the women around my husband disappeared. My mother-in-law, Lisa, whom I had heard rumors about being mean, has not made a target for me so far either. However, my peaceful daily life came to an abrupt end when I discovered something. It was when I was cleaning up my husband's room. What's this? Did he own a tie in this color? Since then, I've been discovering more and more things that I have never seen before. In addition to that, he has recently been working overtime and going on holidays a lot. How suspicious. I had a bad feeling. I decided to take a peek at his phone while my husband was sleeping. There, I saw the message he had received. I could see the traces of intimate exchanges with a woman. Without any hesitation, I requested an infidelity investigation to a private investigator. And a few days later, I learned the cruel truth. Ma'am, please try to stay calm as I tell you this. Your husband is having an affair. I was prepared for this, so it was rather a confirmation, and I was able to stay calm. But when I saw the photo that he presented to me, my calmness vanished in an instant. I recognized the woman in the photo with her arms around my husband. The woman with whom he was having an affair was Caitlin, my one and only younger sister. I am 3 years older than Caitlin. She and I have almost identical looks, but otherwise we're complete opposites. She looks more glam because she has a more flamboyant taste than me. Unlike my passive and taciturn personality, she's quite open and very talkative. And because she is the type of person who can handle anything with ease, she looks down on me. However, she hates dull and steady work, so she is incapable of doing household chores. Even though we are such complete opposites, she had a habit of imitating me in everything and wanting what I have since we were children. It was the same in terms of love. When I was in high school, my sister took my boyfriend. When I found out, my sister laughed at me and had the audacity to tell me not taking it personally. My parents had taught me to be more patient with my sister as the older one, so I easily forgave her. Perhaps it was this attitude of mine that made her what she is today. Now she was taking my man. My husband, for that matter. I was beyond angry. I was disgusted and despised her. And of course, the same goes for my husband. He told me he liked my face, so he settled with my sister who looks like me. When I thought about it, my feelings for my husband suddenly vanished. A few days later, I called my husband and sister into a cafe. "What's up, Erin? What did you want to talk about?" My husband was very blunt and wouldn't look at my sister's face. "Sis, it's been a long time." My sister smiled at me without a trace of guilt. Oh, nothing has changed since then. I'm horrified, even though she's my own sister. I turned to my husband. "You're cheating on me, aren't you?" I didn't raise my voice or cry. Instead, I learned that people smile when they are really angry. My husband's face turned pale as he looked at me. "Erin, I'm sorry." And then he confessed to having an affair with my sister, just like that. As I was getting ready to shout some words of abuse at him, he said in a strained voice, "I want a divorce. I've decided to leave you and marry Caitlin." I couldn't believe what I had heard when he said that he was not only divorcing me, but also marrying my sister. I felt my blood boiling and I wanted to leave as soon as possible. "Okay, let's get a divorce." And without hesitation, I filled out the divorce papers that my husband presented to me. "Thank you for understanding. So, I want to ask you a favor. I want you to be our housekeeper." "What? Housekeeper?" I couldn't believe what I had heard again. No way. I hope I misheard him. I'd hate to think that someone who was once my husband would be that insane. "I can't just throw you away like that. From now on, I want you to live with us as a housekeeper and do the housework. That way you won't have to leave me." That's a good idea, right? I mean, I've always admired your cooking skills. I was astonished that I hadn't misheard him. I was already stunned that my husband, or rather my ex-husband, still thought I didn't want to leave him, but the idea of making me their housekeeper was a tremendous shock. Though I'm a woman whose only charm is my housekeeping skills, there is a limit to how you can make fun of a person. It makes me feel like a fool for having done all the housework for him. I was furious and out of words. As if to push me further, my sister said, "That's right, sis. Come live with us." She was smiling, but there was a nasty glimmer in her eyes. She is looking at me with a proud expression. I felt completely ridiculed, which made me even angrier. Why did I choose such a man? It was because of my own weakness, because I was so weak trying to make my humble self look as good as possible with a good-looking husband by my side. But I am not the kind of person who, despite my quiet nature, would just sit back and let them torture me. In fact, I am the type of person who hates to lose. And when I'm beaten, I have to fight back. I don't want to be made a fool of forever. Revenge is the word that came to mind. That's right. Let's do more damage than just yelling at them here. Let's get back at them. Double, even triple the damage. As I decided to do so, I tried my best to smile and replied, "Well, that's a good idea." "Right? I'm glad you understand what I mean." My ex-husband nodded in satisfaction. "I'll clean up the house so that you two can start living together right away. You can stay in Caitlin's apartment for the time being." This proposal I made was, of course, part of the plan to get revenge on both of them. "Yeah, okay. That's my housekeeper. You're so thoughtful." "Thanks, sis." I scoffed in my heart at the happy couple, unaware that they were being played. You idiots, you'll see in no time. With no more regrets, I quickly filed the divorce papers and started to clean up the house. But of course, I wasn't cleaning up for my ex-husband and sister. The house that my ex-husband and I have been living in is in my name, so I decided to sell it off without notice. I have to get rid of all the furniture too. The first thing I did was to get rid of the most obstructive things, namely my ex-husband's belongings. My narcissistic ex-husband often enjoyed putting on fashion shows at night, so he has a large collection of clothes and shoes. I threw them all into the garbage bag with hatred without mercy. Oof, I feel so refreshed. As soon as the room was cleaned up, I started to feel better right away. At that moment, the doorbell rang. "Coming!" I opened the door, and there stood Lisa, my mother-in-law. "Hello, Erin. I was just in the neighborhood, so I thought I'd stop by." She was as blunt as ever, true to her reputation of being a mean woman. "I'll make you some tea. Please make yourself at home." I respond with a friendly smile. My mother-in-law looks around the house suspiciously. I suppose it's not surprising given the piles of garbage bags. "Erin, what on earth are you doing?" When she asked me that, I told my mother-in-law the whole story of what had happened with my ex-husband. My mother-in-law listened with an exasperated look on her face, sighing from time to time. "I'm sorry, Erin, for raising him to be such a man." "No, it's not your fault." "It's sad to hear that you've divorced. I was happy when he married a down-to-earth woman like you. I thought it would settle him down. So, even though many describe me as mean, I couldn't bring myself to attack you." I didn't expect that. I had no idea that my mother-in-law thought that way about me. "Anyways, your sister is an asshole, isn't she? She's so different from you." "I can't stop my son and your sister from getting together because they're both adults and made the decision to do so. But I do want to help you get your revenge. When I become her mother-in-law, I will strengthen her out." I'm heartened to have gained an unexpected ally. Thank you very much. And thanks to my mother-in-law's cooperation, we were able to smoothly finish everything from disposing the furniture to selling the house. A few days later, my ex-husband called me when I was already at my parents' house. "We're officially married now. Is the house ready?" I can't believe he would go to the trouble of telling me that so honestly. He's such an idiot asshole. But I'm glad he's an idiot. That's why he fell for my plan. "Congratulations! I've cleaned up the house, so you're welcome to come. You should move in today." I couldn't help but say this in a cheerful voice. Later, I watched from hiding as my ex-husband and sister come happily to the front of the house. I watched them standing dumbfounded in front of the sign that read, "Sold," with a smile on my face. "What the... sold? What is this?" The two of them panicked at this unexpected event. Then I make an appearance, just as planned. "You got played." My ex-husband and sister turned to me with surprised faces. "Erin, what's going on? Explain what this is about. You were supposed to live in this house with us as our housekeeper." I replied condescendingly to my distraught ex-husband. "You're such an idiot. How can I live such a disgusting life?" "You want me to be your housekeeper? Don't make fun of me. I don't want to see your faces ever again." Hearing this, my ex-husband sighed and said, "I see. You got jealous because Caitlin took me away from you. I'm sorry, but you've got to give up. I can't love a plain-looking girl like you anymore." How narcissistic can he be? My body reacted with goosebumps. "I don't want you. I'm fine with being plain-looking. That's better than being a fool." I blustered out, not to be outdone. Then my ex-husband started to shed some tears. "How can you be so cruel? My ex-wife betrayed me and left me without a place to live. How pitiful." I have been sympathetic and even smitten by his tears. But now, I'm done with being such a convenient woman. "Shut up. You're the one who betrayed me. Don't play the tragic hero." My ex-husband and my sister both flinched at my brazenness. "From now on, if you need me, you'll have to go through my lawyer." I said those words and was ready to leave. Then, my ex-husband, in a fit of desperation, knocked down the sold sign and tried to enter the house. "I don't believe this. This is my house." So I advised my ex-husband in disgust. "That house belongs to someone else now, and it's against the law to enter without permission. Shall I call the police for you?" With that, my ex-husband left the house, wincing in frustration. My sister looked at me with the same frustrated look on her face. I turned my back on them both and left, laughing out loud. The two of them then moved in with my ex-mother-in-law. I'm hoping that my ex-mother-in-law will give my sister a good thrashing. By the way, my parents disowned my sister, so she can't run to her parents anymore. And my ex-husband apparently decided to quit the company he worked for a long time. I heard that the company found out that he remarried after having an affair with his ex-wife's sister, and he was looked at with disdain and had no place to stay. He is now spending his day working part-time jobs to pay the huge alimony I have demanded. My sister is the type of person who is lazy and hates to work, but of course I have demanded alimony from her as well, so she will have to do hard labor in the near future. It feels good to see my sister, who has always made fun of me, unhappy. But maybe I should be rather grateful to my sister for taking such a foolish man. I fell for that man because I wanted to look good. That is a point to look back on. From now on, I would like to lead a positive and appropriate life for me without being too vain.
From here on out, I'm treating you like you're invisible since you're not helping out.
Just like that, my husband declared and started giving me the cold shoulder. My morning greetings got no response. My goodbyes as he left for the day were met with silence. He couldn't even muster a thank you before dinner, just quietly wolfed down his food. He acted as if I was a ghost in our home, and his mom, who we lived with, was just as bad. Despite sharing the same space at home, they acted like I was invisible. My words fell on deaf ears. While my mother-in-law and husband enjoyed chit-chat over dinner, I found myself eating solo, standing in the kitchen. Their laughter ringing out from the living room felt like they were taunting me. I felt so down it brought me to tears. One day, after a year of living like a ghost, my husband broke the silence.
Remember what I said a year ago? If you have any issues, feel free to leave. But I guess you, being a homemaker, wouldn't have any options if you did.
He laughed, cockily. I've been waiting for this moment, for the whole year. My name is Anna. I'm a 34-year-old stay-at-home wife. I met my husband Jackson about 3 years back, introduced by a friend. I've been all in on my work ever since I graduated from college. Although there were guys I found appealing, I never got into a serious relationship. I just kept shuttling between work and home for years. I left my job, so I didn't mind the routine, but a friend, feeling sorry for me, introduced me to Jackson, thinking we might hit it off. Once I met Jackson, a hotshot from a top-tier college, working at a high-profile company, I felt our worlds were miles apart, me being just your average office worker. My friend mentioned he was quite the catch and had a string of women after him. But for some reason, he seemed to take a shine to me and asked me out after a few meetups. I was warming up to him too, so I said yes to dating. Before long, marriage talk was in the air, and within a year of dating, both our families had met. Jackson doesn't have a dad. I was told he left after a divorce when he was a kid. That's why he seemed to adore his mom so much, and was pretty insistent on living together after we got married. Honestly, the idea of living with his mom was a little tough to swallow. She didn't seem nasty, but sharing space with someone who was essentially a stranger takes some getting used to. Plus, her place was a bit of a hike from where I worked. My commute was stretched to over 2 hours. I planned to keep working after getting married, but living together meant I'd have no choice but to quit. Sensing my hesitation, Jackson promised me time and again that he'd do everything to make me happy. I decided to trust him. Finally, I made the call to move in with his mom. After we made it official, I quit my job and moved into his mom's place. She greeted me with a warm smile, and Jackson couldn't thank me enough for agreeing to live together. Maybe we could make it work. I felt incredibly hopeful back then. After quitting my job, I threw myself into housework and mingling with the neighbors. Picking up home cooking tips from my mother-in-law and gossiping about supermarket bargains with the neighbors was a fun change of pace. One day, Jackson came home looking wiped out. It was rare to see the typically cheerful Jackson like this, so I was a bit concerned. "Welcome home, honey. You okay? Tough day at work?" He responded,
"Yeah, it was,"
and let out a heavy sigh. Then looking me in the eye, he said,
"Anna, I need a favor. I feel lousy and embarrassed even asking, but..."
He had this serious look on his face. "Hey, we're a team. Spill the beans. I'll do whatever I can to help." My response brought a faint smile to his face.
"Well, I need help with work. I'm heading a new project and drowning in paperwork. I just need you to sort out some stuff I've collected online. Can you handle that?"
Well, that's a bit anticlimactic. With that intense expression, I was expecting something much more serious. "That's it? Of course I'll help. I've been adapting to this lifestyle and was actually contemplating trying something new." So from that day, I started pitching in with random tasks like organizing paperwork whenever I had spare time. It felt great to lend a hand to my dear husband. The idea of easing his load didn't bother me at all, but after 2 months of living like this, I started feeling worn out. Juggling his work and house chores was beginning to weigh me down. Initially, it was just some basic internet research, but gradually I was roped into crafting presentation materials. Now I was handling all the presentation documents. It was just too much. It went beyond what I initially agreed to. There was barely any time left for house chores. That's when I decided to tell Jackson I needed to bow out of helping with his work. Hey, Jackson, can I take a break from helping with your work? It's tough managing house chores and prepping presentation materials simultaneously. If it's absolutely necessary, I can stick to light research like before. As we snuggled in bed, ready to call it a night, I turned to Jackson lying beside me. Suddenly, he sat bolt upright. Startled, I sat up too. He looked at me, his face hardening within seconds.
Don't spring that on me now. I've been relying on your help to drive this project, but I guess a homemaker like you wouldn't get it.
He shot back with a touch of sarcasm. I was stunned. I couldn't believe that the always kind and upbeat Jackson could say such a thing. As I sat speechless, he let out a heavy sigh and continued.
Alright, from here on out I'll treat you like you're invisible. If you have any issues, feel free to leave.
I gasped at his words. What are you saying? How can you think like that? I managed to snap back, but he ignored me and dove back under the covers. Despite my attempts to rouse him, he'd already drifted off to sleep. After that, Jackson began treating me like I didn't exist, just as he'd promised. He overlooked my morning greetings, my goodbyes when he left for work, and even when I served dinner. He acted like I was a ghost in this house. And his mom was no different. Despite sharing the same place, she behaved as if she was blind to my presence. It was painfully awkward. She wouldn't respond even when I tried to start a conversation. Gradually, Jackson began having meals just with his mom. While the two of them enjoyed dinner together, I ate alone in the kitchen, standing up. Their laughter from the living room felt like a cruel joke, and it was so sad that I felt like crying. But maybe some of this was on me. If I had been better at juggling house chores and assisting Jackson, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe he's just fuming now and will cool down with time. With those thoughts, I didn't muster up the courage to put my foot down, and all I could do was endure. Those hard days rolled on, and before I knew it, nearly a year had passed. As was the norm, Jackson and my mother-in-law carried on ignoring me. Ever since he cut off my allowance, I've been scraping by on savings for my single days. It had me questioning why I even got married. As I was hauling in laundry for the three of us, I heaved another sigh. Guess it was time for lunch. With that thought, I went down the stairs from the second floor balcony to the living room on the first floor. That's when I goofed. I missed a step and took a tumble down the stairs. A resounding thud echoed throughout the house. Ouch! I rubbed my sore backside where I'd taken quite a hit. As far as I could tell, no fractures or serious injuries, but I was bracing for a massive bruise on my butt. As I sat there, I heard hurried footsteps from the living room. Anna, what happened? Are you okay? Did you fall down the stairs? Are you hurt? My mother-in-law rushed over, helping me up. Overwhelmed by the fact that I was conversing with her for the first time in almost a year, I blurted out, I haven't heard your voice in such a long time. At this, she froze, her mouth hanging open. Uh-oh. I'd let something odd slip. Quick on my feet, I covered it up with a cheerful tone. I'm not hurt. I'm all good. Sorry to worry you, but it's really nice to talk to you after such a long time. Just kidding. Hoping to lighten the mood, I threw in a playful quip. For some reason, she looked like she was about to burst into tears. Then she asked, I thought you hated me. I was perplexed. Why would I hate you? Why would you think that? Is that why you've been giving me the cold shoulder all this while? As she nodded, she started unveiling a shocking truth. The tale traced back around a year. Roughly, when Jackson began ignoring me, he had somehow convinced his mother, saying,
Anna hates you. It's best you don't talk to her.
It appeared he didn't take kindly to my not obeying his every word. Maybe he was trying to discipline me or control me by isolating me at home. I never dreamed that Jackson, ever so kind and adored by everyone, could do such a horrific thing. And his mom, also kind-hearted, never imagined her son could lie and wholeheartedly believed that I despised her. I really like you. I like the mom who shared her cooking secrets with me, the mom who welcomed me with open arms. When I said this, she covered her mouth and nodded several times. It seemed like she believed me.
I'm sorry, Anna. I should have verified it with you first. When Jackson gets back from work today, let's confront him about this.
Cheerfully, my mother-in-law apologized and promised to have a conversation with her son. After that, we spent a lot of time catching up. It was the most enjoyable time I've had in recent memory. Then, Jackson came back from work. He looked taken aback for a moment seeing me and his mom chatting away, but soon shrugged it off and fetched a beer from the fridge as if nothing was amiss.
Jackson, sit down. You know what we need to talk about, don't you?
She said this calmly. Beer in hand, he wordlessly took a seat at the table.
Jackson, stop tormenting Anna. Apologize to her right here, right now.
When his mother said this, he snorted.
What? I didn't bully her. Got any evidence? Show me the proof.
He scoffed, looking incredibly self-assured. Indeed, there was no hard evidence. It's not like I had footage of being sidelined or recordings of him fibbing to his mom. Both his mom and I were at a loss for words when he continued.
Anna, do you really despise me that much? Didn't I suggest the same thing a year ago? If there's an issue, leave. But I guess you, being a homemaker, wouldn't have many options if you did.
He was right. I wouldn't be able to fend for myself if I left, since I have no income. Even though my parents are still around, my sister and her husband are living with them, so there's no space for me there. But I've had it. I can't be with you any longer. Okay, I'll go.
Wait, Anna, wait!
I brushed off my mother-in-law's pleas to halt and began packing. I stuffed only the clothes and toiletries I'd need immediately into my overnight bag. Thanks for everything up to now.
Do whatever you want. You'll be crawling back soon anyway.
Amid his abusive jeers, I left my in-laws' house. Fast forward a week, I was lodging at a hotel near the terminal station. I was swamped with various tasks I needed to sort out for my future. Just when things were starting to settle, my phone rang with an alarmingly fierce call from Jackson. I ignored it for a bit, but ultimately picked up around the 10th call. Hey Jackson, how's life?
Don't play dumb. It was all you.
He yelled so loudly that I feared my eardrums would rupture. It was so loud that I had to distance my smartphone from my ear slightly. What are you on about?
The letter. The blasted letter. You wrote that I'm a bully and a shirker and mailed it to the company. What on earth were you thinking?
Oh, really? I had no idea, but that sounds tough. I lied. Just as he had said, I had mailed the postcard. After leaving my in-laws' house, I had written a letter to Jackson's workplace. Jackson shoves his work onto others. Jackson abuses his wife. Jackson is a liar. And I embellished more things in glaring red letters.
Don't screw with me. Thanks to you, I'm on suspension. Me, a rising star? What the heck? I'm under house arrest until they can substantiate the claims. I just delegated work to an inept underling. I merely gave a worthless wife a purpose in life.
The genial and kind-hearted Jackson was long gone. He was likely shouting with a demonic expression while yanking his hair out. If you claim so, you must have proof, right? Go on, show me the evidence. The evidence that I mailed the letter. I retorted with the exact words he had thrown at me just days ago. His fury peaked and he started shrieking, unintelligibly. There was no reasoning with him anymore. So I just ended the call saying, well, I'll hang up then. The following day, I swung by my in-laws' house to discuss the future with Jackson. We hadn't scheduled anything, but since it was Sunday, he should be home. I let myself in using a spare key. I didn't see my mother-in-law's shoes. She might be out shopping. In place of her shoes at the entrance, there were unfamiliar high heels. As I was pondering if it could be, I heard noises coming from the master bedroom. I had an ominous feeling, so I dumped my bags in the hallway and started filming with my phone as I approached the bedroom. Amid the clattering noise, I could hear the voices of a man and a woman. I braced myself and thrust open the bedroom door. There was Jackson in the nude, and an unknown woman sprawled on the bed. The woman spotted me and let out a startled squeal. Then Jackson also gasped.
Whoa, Anna?
Oddly enough, I felt incredibly composed, so I decided to just quietly keep the camera rolling. The woman, in a state of panic, quickly gathered the scattered clothes on the bed to cover herself.
Jackson, is she the wife? You're joking, right? You said you divorced her 6 months ago. You said you were going to marry me.
So not only was this guy tormenting me, he was cheating too. He must have thought I was the perfect little housemaid.
No, it's not like that. It's not what it seems.
He was muttering incoherently, and then the woman decided to just get dressed and scram, declaring that they should break up. Silence engulfed the room. When I addressed Jackson, his shoulders twitched. Then he sprang out of bed and started begging for my forgiveness. What a laughable sight.
I'll do anything. Just please don't share that video.
He seemed truly terrified. He must have been shocked by how well my letter of strategy worked. So you'll acknowledge your wrongdoings and agree to divorce me? After all, I have evidence now. When I proposed this, he responded with a barely audible
Yes.
Sometime later, Jackson and I officially got divorced. Of course, I saw alimony, which he agreed to pay in one go. He was demoted after his superiors discovered he was shirking his work onto his colleagues. Moreover, his reputation at work plummeted due to rumors about him mistreating his wife and our divorce. Jackson, always a stickler for appearances, couldn't bear it and ended up quitting his job. Now he seems to be living a hermit's life in his mother's house. His mom decided to continue living with him to make amends for the hassle he caused his wife, keeping tabs on his lifestyle and attempting to reshape his behavior. I do feel a tad sorry for his mother, who's blameless in this whole fiasco, but I think I'll kindly accept her gesture. As for me, I managed to go back to the company where I used to work. Apparently, there was an unexpected resignation. And, by sheer coincidence, it was in the department I used to be a part of. While it feels like I've circled back to the starting point, I've resolved to face life head-on, without harboring any resentment. That's the vow I've made.